Deadpool Wolverine doing very well at the box office. As I think once that first trailer dropped, actually the teaser dropped, uh, that was everywhere. That went viral. I think everybody knew this movie was going to make a lot of money, be very popular, do well. As you can see, it just took over the number one spot for an R-rated movie from the Joker, which I love the Joker. I love that movie. Maybe I'll do a video on that at another time. But anyways, yes, I did go see it. I did enjoy it very much, just like I thought I would. I got to admit, I was a little hesitant, knowing this was Marvel. This is Disney. We're in Marvel Disney territory with these characters. But knowing Ryan Reynolds, knowing how he's been with the Deadpool movies, the first one I love, the second one I'm not so crazy about. This is officially the third Deadpool movie, but it's Deadpool Wolverine. It was good. It was good. And like I mentioned before, Disney Marvel. So what was the purpose of this movie? I think it's already known, it's a known factor. But this movie it it picks up from the Fox universe of X-Men, or the Fox X-Men franchise. And it's bringing it over to Disney Marvel. So basically the mutants, the X-Men, that IP is now Disney Marvel. So the stated singular purpose of this movie is to bring those characters, specifically the X-Men, into Disney Marvel. And I think they did it the right way with this movie. I think Ryan Reynolds made demands on, creative control. It was going to be R-rated because we know how Disney is, but it's a Marvel Studios product. It had to be, I think he put his foot down. He has full creative control. Did a really good job in that aspect, in that department. Is it a great story? Was it a good script? No, not particularly. I thought it was pretty patchy. You could tell, this script was pretty much thrown together for fan service. There's a ton of cameos, ton of callbacks. But the jokes are good, the quips are good, and these two characters are just, if done right, these two characters are bulletproof, literally. Um, so I think it did do its job of bringing the X-Men into Disney Marvel. Um, I know a lot of people are just looking at it as a movie, as a good comic book movie. It's a good comic book movie. It's a very enjoyable time. Just go and see it. It's a great ride. But again, the references that were blatant about the X-Men, and there were a ton of references that were very subtle, but the X-Men are all throughout this film. They're mentioned, or there's references dropped. Obviously there's a ton of cameos. I can't get into all of them. But this vehicle is purely to bring the mutants and the X-Men into the Marvel universe. And it needs it, because as we know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has really fallen off. It turned, I'd say, well, for me, I stopped probably at Civil War, but I did see Captain Marvel, and that was the one. It was it made $1 billion, but we know it was because it was sandwiched right between Infinity War and Endgame. So everybody was kind of hooked in to go see it because it continued the Infinity Saga. But Captain Marvel was a terrible movie. That was a transition from stated traditional character arcs, which Marvel had been building up to that point so well, specifically male heroes with great character development, great arcs, to a message of more female characters, girl power, girl boss. You know, Captain Marvel was a terrible character. She was just always great. She didn't go through any sort of development, character development. She was always great. And anyways, that movie was bad, and that's where I saw the turn in the Marvel movies. And then Endgame uh, really solidified it for me, especially towards the end, that it was the women were going to take over the Marvel universe, and they did, and then they literally killed off all the top male characters, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, uh, who were the bedrock of that cinematic universe. And here we are. And here we are, Marvel really trying to turn the ship around. Is this movie going to do it? No, I don't think right now. No, I think it's kind of a one off. It's doing really well. But Marvel needs to uh, get the X-Men in. I think they're probably going to come in Secret Wars. That's coming up, but that's not till I believe 2027. 20, I forget, but it's a ways off. So is this movie immediately going to turn Marvel's fortunes around? No, it's not at all. We still have two movies coming up, I believe, for next year. The Brave New World with the Red Falcon, basically, who's not Captain America, and Thunderbolts, and those two trailers just look like nothing to me. I don't think I'm going to go see them. So, and then we don't get new Marvel stuff for, like I said, I think 2026, 2027. So it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while till we see the X-Men. It's going to be Avengers, but the X-Men they're coming. Be patient. But it needs to happen because Marvel's not doing so hot. But what this movie meant for me, like I said, it was the references, it was dropping in the little subtleties of that, and then you know here we have, I don't know if this is from the movie, maybe this might have been fan made at first, but this is pretty much a good rendition of you know Wolverine in the full suit. And I have to admit, I was right there with everybody in the theater cheering on when he finally put the full with the mask. And it's about 5 minutes of really good battle and mayhem. He's going at it. And it's really just kind of a pan, a scroll down. It's a scene. I'm not really. There's no spoilers here, but the scene where they're just like ripping through all the Deadpools, because there's a ton of Deadpools in this movie, because there's multiverse stuff involved. I don't want to get into that. There's a ton of Deadpool characters in this movie, and Wolverine just goes to town, and he's in this suit, and it's really a side pan, a scroll, and he just goes to town, and you just see limbs flying from the Deadpools, and it's really a good job. And then he poses in the suit, and it just I have to admit, I was there. I was like, yes, finally. It took 28 years for this. And then I thought, why did it take so long? Because it was done so well. He's in the full suit. Here's maybe another picture here. This is more of a rendering, but that's pretty close. That's pretty close to what it looks like. And then the posing with the full animanium, the blades out, and he's got the growl going on, done really well. And to me, this just brought up, this is, I hope, the direction the Marvel universe is going. These are the classic. I had a lot of these issues. These are the classic Uncanny X-Men. This is what I've been waiting for. I think a lot of people, not just X-Men fans or comic book fans. I just think people in general, just finally to get good comic book representation of these characters. I mean, look at that. Look at the color. We haven't seen that yet. The closest that I've seen in terms of the X-Men was Wolverine in the full suit and, doing battle. There's obviously Jim Lee. I had that whole run. My personal favorites. Here's the originals. Cockrum. I think he's probably the best X-Men artist of all time. He was kind of the original. This is where it started with the new team, the newer team way back in the day, which brought Wolverine into it. Probably the best team ever, with Cyclops, Phoenix, Storm, Nightcrawler back there. That was Cockrum's favorite character, Nightcrawler. I don't think anybody's ever done that character better. But just this is what this movie brought out in me. Finally, we could get good representation, good, on the screen of these characters. I mean, just look at these covers; they're just great. There it is when the giant size. When I mean, that to me is the X-Men. That's always going to be the X-Men, and I just think that's what this movie does. And but they've got to get on the ball. They got to get more of this out if they want to keep this going. They got to be a little quicker, and I hope they do. I hope they don't mess it up. I did enjoy this movie for what it was, but I just hope they don't fumble it. But little side note, also there was a great cameo. I think you've all heard Blade was in it, and it was the Blade. It was Wesley Snipes, which I believe there's Marvel's trying to remake that still. It's been 5 years, but he even in the movie, Wesley Snipes says, I'm the only Blade. There's only one Blade. It's one of the better jokes in the movie. It's so good. But yeah, that when Wesley Snipes came out, that was one of the highlights of this movie. But anyways, that's kind of basically what I wanted to talk about. Oh, here's Toad up here. That was a great little cameo. That's basically what I want to talk about. What this movie was, what it means, what it establishes. Um, it was a great one off. I hope they don't fumble it. I hope they capitalize on it quickly. And I hope we get some good X-Men representation in the future Marvel universe. And I think that's about all I have for today. If you like this video, please hit like, please subscribe, and thank you for your support. And I'll be talking to you later. Have a good one. Bye bye.